never won it. The two best players that have never quite held that hammer that is surprisingly heavy. I've not held the hammer, but I've heard tell.
You heard the tell?
I've heard the tell that it's a heavy hammer, but either way, they haven't quite been able to get there. The roster had changes. The roster that had been together for such a long time, they needed to change something up. They wanted to see what else could tick, and to be fair, it is ticking along. They've had a great run so far, Liquid. They are one of the only teams that's still technically undefeated. If they get to the end of the day, they're matching the pace that Damwon Kia are putting down, which has been a heck of a pace of 2-0s across all of their games so far.
Definitely so, and I think that if you're looking at the groups currently, I think a lot of a lot of people will actually agree with me that Liquid and Damwon Kia are currently some of the fan favorites going in into the playoffs soon. I'm not quite sure whether or not Liquid is completely confirmed yet. I know we have Damwon Kia, who's confirmed first seed of their group, but I'm pretty sure that if Team Liquid managed to pick up a win here as well, they will follow that same fate. So, trying to make that happen, get that first seed, should provide you with a bit of an easier matchup, of course, during the actual playoffs. First matchup. Still need to beat everybody, of course, to become the champion.
Yeah, you gotta beat everybody.
The further you come, the better it is.
It's an easy statement to say.
Yeah.
You just have to beat everybody.
Yeah, beat everybody.
It's no big deal. Fireplace mining. We're going to start in the middle, and it wouldn't be Cyclops if they're not going to play some trickery on their opener here as well. They have the Vigil of Iogator to try and waste as much time as possible. One of the things that I loved when we watched Cyclops last year that made everybody love Cyclops at the Lost SI was when they came to Kafe, specifically in their game against Empire as well. They were so fearless.
They might not have won the game or the game against BDS after, but the way they played was terrifying. It's like your average ranked game against people that have like 10,000 more elo than you, that just spawn PQ everywhere. Because that's exactly what they were doing. They were bringing the fight to the outside. Empire had no chance of actually making it into the building back then. Somehow they still managed to win it. Of course, they adapted after 3 rounds. They found ways to deal with it, which was just stay in spawn a little bit longer and wait for them to fall back. But Cyclops, that kind of playstyle, the kind of random stuff they do, really works for them. And if you're not prepared to adapt to these kind of playstyles, they're going to be catching you off guard.
Getting themselves set up with the extensions towards the top floor so they can roam and play around. You do sort of need to keep a bit of a mantle of control over pillars, which means that you need, obviously, the balcony itself still locked in. And if you want to feel super brave, put a little bit of pressure up onto Pixel. See if you can try and lean in towards the cigar approach and keep some verticality. Chances are you're not going to be able to keep it for too long. Piano is such a hot spot, and it becomes one where you can have multiple angles. This is a game that they're playing. See if they can see from underneath the hatch. It's not the most surprising game. Everybody plays it. This isn't a CAG-specific thing, but 3, 2, 1.
You might not have the right angle. It's being tossed out 2 different angles, that is, but a little fireworks. No damage really being done to the side of Team Liquid. It's actually Gatorada that takes a bit of damage, but turns around and just gets the kill instead. So Cyclops are the ones to open up.
So they had, obviously, the angle, the hole that came through. They pre-fired just towards Whiskey, but fired back. Got the shot, got it locked in, and they remove resets. They take that Zephyr off the board. They limit a lot of that self-destruction, but then you've got the sledge in the hands of Palu. So on the verticalities here, it's not going to be the biggest make or break. There is, obviously, some of those Goyo shields. There's some other bits and bobs of utility that would have been nicer to be able to take care of, and maybe even some pressure onto the side of a mirror window here. The swing through, the pop in, and as I said, you're not going to keep control of here, but you might do what they're doing there and put some pressure onto Pixel.
That is the aggressive playstyle coming out right here. Anatem putting up a little bit of damage towards Nesk here, but his position is now known. Gets swung again, and he just has to hold on. Use the adrenaline surge to heals up just ever so slightly, but might be a little bit more careful now. They know exactly where he is. He's trying to go more aggressive. Blacklight does go down, however, but Iogator on a very aggressive angle. It's just trades all around here.
Yeah, that's it. Gatorada gets one back. The pre-fire of Iogator, but he's going to get out of there. He was otherwise undeterred and untested, but they feel like they don't have the confidence to hold on to that. There's a rotation that's gone to the skylight as well. Liquid have entirely tried to grasp over those players, and to be fair, they got it at the right time. Keep it as a 3 versus 3. You're not just defending the side at this point, but you're trying to keep that verticality. You've done a lot. You've taken big parts out of their game and a big gun out and 2 in the hands of Nesk. So at this point, it's more seeing what else you can do underneath with the final minute. The pressure's on White. It looks like Liquid are going to see if they can posture themselves up, crack open the backside of White and go for a plant potentially onto Dining, but it's this fight that might happen around the White stairs first. It's going to be that bit of a make or break here. It's dangerous.
So be careful as well with the Goyo shield not to accidentally hit it, because that would be detrimental with Palu standing right next to it. Of course, still 3 members left on the side of Team Liquid here, and preparing, just opening up some verticalities here. The shields are kind of annoying. They might be coming back to bite them in the end, so they have to be playing around those. But the plant, of course, is going to be the next priority here. Ask is carrying that case here. PSK is going to be able to pick up at least one of these kills. But with 5 seconds left, Ask just runs into the side. It's a lineup here for Suzuki, and it's going to be able to pick up 2 kills. Here's Liquid that loses that first round. Cyclops managed to win it by 1 hidden player still in that dining room.
Suzuki, he'd finished his dinner and decided he wanted dessert. And it was 2 LATAM Parrot players that sort of briskly entered and tried to get themselves stuck in. They both swung the same way. Not entirely sure what the call was, or whether they wanted to see if they could strong-arm the plant onto mining instead of dining, because obviously, you know, when you're looking at that moment, if the Zephyr was still on the board, then that is that wall popped. That's suddenly a new configuration. Usually, in those dying throws and dying moments, if you've got to just try and strong-arm a plant and get it down, the corner where Suzuki was holding onto, that's where most teams would try and plant it.
Yeah, what I think they might have been afraid of is that there was a player still in trains. That is, whenever you're planting that corner, it's visible from the fireplace, of course. So the closer you get to that wall next to the fireplace, the less likely it is for that angle to be watched. And I think that was kind of the reasoning behind it, trying to find a safe spot to go for a plant if there was still someone around inside of the fireplace, because, you know, they still had a member down around pillars, just took one up on the side of the brown stairs, and not quite sure what the last member at that moment in time was for Cyclops. Either way, round win is theirs, and they're also desperately looking for some points. I think they definitely have to now at the current state of their group, so they might be having a lot of fun playing Siege and, you know, do these little skits here and there, but if they want to do more of them, they need to make sure to get out of groups.
Now, Cyclops have got off to a lead, and I'm not going to get too much into this game's breakdown of what we think is going to happen, but I'm just going to sort of put a little pin on the day and the storylines that we've seen so far, and I'm going to use a tweet of our wonderful colleague, Jess Goat, where I don't know if it was last night or the night before, where she said, my predictions, they're all off at the minute, as they have been. Because it's the surprise of SI. There's been all these changes. Another C4. They baited it that time around. Anis is not going to play around with it. It was Anis and the Jaeger underneath anyway. Anyway, and she said, and this is the good thing because it's surprising. The day she tweeted that, a lot of other people had got things correct. It doesn't matter. Because today,
a lot of us have a lot of bad predictions.
The most anyone has got at this point is 4, maybe.
Who is it?
There's been so, I think it was Anne. I know
Jessie's really doing well.
Jessie's doing quite well as well. Jessie's doing quite well as well. So today has truly been, out of every day so far, the biggest day of upsets based on all of us predicting.
All of our predictions, indeed. We all know that the viewers are always more likely to get it correct. Somehow they always beat us. That is, I don't think any of us have ever beaten the predictions yet.
But if there's anything, Cyclops here, they are, as you guys predicted at home, and a lot of us predicted, the underdogs in this fight against Team Liquid, because Team Liquid have played so well, and Cyclops, they've had a game, and it was not a good game yesterday against a Rogue that had already had not a good game their own. So this could be that growth, and that's the point I'm trying to make, is be prepared for the unexpected in SI. As Jess said, you never really know where somebody's going to start to pop off, even in a best-of-3 scenario.
I really like, by the way, how Suzuki held onto that mirror window for a longer time, so they could try and isolate and try and find out where the actual push would be coming from the actual side of Liquid. As soon as they found out, to put down that last mirror window just to provide an extra layer of support eventually, and that's a bit of flexibility that you need every now and then, just to make sure that you can adapt to whatever is going on. As Gadarada being droned, the ceiling is being smashed out from above, and bullets are raining in the meantime as well, and instead of running, he's just taking a fight. He's just firing back. He's not being pinged out, and Palu's just struggling picking up that kill. And Resets comes in and just finishes that job for him, because, well, Palu, he might be plus 1,001 right now, but, well, Gadarada was definitely a slippery one to catch.
It was 4 players. 4 Liquid players came in to solidify that kill here. They're just going to grenade close so they can get this opened up. The Mute Jammer is caught out, and Hibana can keep building a big tower of X-Kairos. There's a fight onto pillars. Just slipped past. Black-Grey hit by the sun at the same time. That was some beautiful combination there of utility. They hit the Zephyr stun. as Nesk swung around to get into the engagement. Suzy and Nesk find one apiece. That grenade just uncooked, so it doesn't quite get the full kill, but it baits some time, and there's the death arts. Swings around 5 seconds, though. You got to make that connect. There's that corner I talked about before. There's a Nitro, and it is CAG!
And they're happy about that as well. They're just wasting so much time. They knew exactly where the plan would be going down, and the Nitro comes in to clutch it all. It's a 1-on-4. You see the face of Liquid. How did that happen? How did we not catch that one player downstairs?
I mean, that was just right place, right time. That was your plan B coming together, and that was built on the little moments before. If you break that down and boil it, all the precious seconds of fight that castle put in to ensure that there was 5 less seconds, that's 1 less body. They had everywhere, which way watched but down. And then that's where the round ended up going. Cyclops 2-0 here, the opening Kafe.
Opening up very strong here against Team Liquid. And okay, not overly confident, it's not 2 flawless rounds. We've seen Liquid should have won that round if you're going on the back of the, the players that were still left. It was just that Nitro from below that was at the right time, at the right place, and managing to pick up that kill, very important for Cyclops. As they're heading towards that top floor now, towards the bars, this is that default site. It is site number 1. It's the site that almost always gets used, almost always gets played. Everybody knows how to attack it, and everybody knows how to defend it. And now I'm wondering, does Cyclops have something up their sleeves to hold Liquid back yet once more?
I think that's the sort of thing that was a play that they had prepped. That was their last resort. And it was cool as anything. He knew where he needed to be. He knew where that diffuser was going to go, or at least he had a rough idea, and that's what the C4 was the gamble on. He waited specifically until the timer was 0. And that point, he knows if he just gets the down, let alone the kill, well, it's good. It's good. If he'd have done a little bit earlier, then they might have heard the rip, heard the tear, picked up and let go. At that point, you cannot let go. You just have to hope he's missed. Spoiler alert, he didn't. 2-0.
Definitely didn't miss indeed. As the hatches get opened up very quickly again, Cyclops this time around is not trying to challenge it. No one underneath, no C4s being tossed out. They'll just let it happen, as they have plenty of other ways to deal with it. Drones are coming in, will be taken out quickly as well. Castle barricades will be out here to support Galarada, just to make sure that the push from the south to the north is not going to be bothering too much. And as the Excalibur start opening up at the top of red, he will be gifted another angle upon him, so he will drop out, as he wants to make sure that he stays alive as long as he possibly can.
Little scratches of damage done to resets there on the pop down, but he's able to find himself in the top of red, and, well, that's a way to circumvent that castle barricade. You can get that popped, and usually it's to try and keep Cigar as solid as possible for as long as possible, but here, well, they just sort of bypassed it. They got themselves the open of the rotation onto Whiskey, and it gives them that little bit of extra width. They've pulled themselves up a Pixel as well. They still have the body ready to have a firefight with. Usually, those reinforcements in Bathroom are done the other way around. They don't have a direct sight line towards the door of Bathroom, but this is Cyclops, and this is how they want to play it. They somehow take that fight against Parlu. Just slips by as Nesk's able to get one back. Trying to drive themselves closer and closer to a confrontation, but they're concerned about somebody being below. The fire passes. Goyo's gone, and that's them stacked up ready on 90, but he's trying to give them something to think about.
More openings are being made here with the X-Kairos, trying to lock out as many angles as possible for Liquid's sake. Cyclops, if they're allowed to swing, they will definitely go for these swings. Still that shield that will somewhat worry them. Smoke canisters are being tossed out as well. 40 seconds on the clock, impacts are being used, and that's a shot from the back. Galarada gets yet another kill, and he will be drawing the attention towards himself. Nask is trying to find more answers to Liquid's problems here, as they're a man down now. Knows as well that he could be coming back up the stairs. PSK is holding that off, as more of these smoke canisters are being locked in to try and delay as much as possible.
Us gets Anaton, and Galarada has nowhere to go, because PSK was, as you said, around that point. They've been able to get all the way to Lumber. CZC's underneath, and that's a pressure point because that's a C4 in his pocket, and that is a Nesk off the board. One more! Black Grey with the double down inside the core vault. PSK is nowhere close, no time. And CAG have completed the opening rotation, a 3-0. They're going to see if they can spray and get this final kill, but at that point, it's just PSK watching the wind.
Actually, one of the Cyclops players jumped out of the window, went outside all the way to the other spawn. It's like, they're not going to catch him. Suddenly, there's someone right behind you underneath the hatch that is trying to hold off on you. Or below you with a nitro cell. They just rotate all around, and they just do whatever they deem is the best at that moment in time. Even if it's jumping out of the window and running to the opponent's spawn, just to make sure that even if they kill everybody on site, at least they won't be able to kill you and go for the plant. Because that is something they went for as well. And Cyclops, it's what I like to see about them when it's successful. When they fail to find a success whilst playing like this, it's a bit frustrating. Let's just put it up like that.
A full opening for the rotate there at the bottom of white. They're going to set themselves up with a big extension here, and with Garage locked in, I'm curious to see just how much they put in to aggressively hold this, because one of those things I said about Liquid before, when they're on their game day, they are so brilliantly aggressive. Yeah. They'll see a spot and they'll make sure they play into it and play against it. It's one of those trademarks that's gotten them to the point that they're at in this competition. Where are you going? Black Gray? Get back inside.
Yeah, cheeky walk out. Not even a run out. He's just stepping out, checking.
Step out. See if there was a drone. Right? I think he's looking for drones.
Possibly.
Well, he found none.
There's no way yet that he will be killed at that moment in time.
Anaton.
Just take the fights. I mean, that's exactly what they do. They just take fights here and there. This is exactly what they did against Empire. Just make sure they won't be able to enter the building, and you'll win on the back.
Yeah, if they can't get in, they lose.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as long as you stay alive.
Okay, but let's talk about the brilliance of what he's doing here, because he's a vigil, and he's doing that in the middle as well. He's not doing this at the top floor, so any of those drones that are trying to get a clean shot at him, those wiggly lines are going to affect those bouts. They're going to affect below, and they know where he is roughly at that point. But Galarada's there as well. There's cover coming through from a vigil. They're trying to get the drones in control, and now Liquid's like, we gotta probably deal with this, because Brown Stairs isn't that far away. It's a big swing and gonna get immediately to it, which is why they're setting up down here. The bottom of Brown, they're gonna see if they can get some solidity there over Coat Room potentially. They have the air jabs, and they might be able to stop him from playing too many tricks.
Bunch of barricades have been tossed up, however, by Cyclops, just to make sure that if they want to go through them, they're making some noise. You know how important that might be in the end of it. And as the drones are starting to come out, trying to figure out if there's going to be anybody in the freezer, and they now think, okay, the freezer is completely clear, but they didn't see that there is one man prone in the middle of that site, just waiting for the right moment to strike, for the right moment to start walking around, and Palu is in the meantime heading towards that freezer. It is getting quite risky here.
There it is, they've got the ping on the body. Resets has instantly moved in to try and apply the pressure, but Anaton is the first to find the fight and success. As you see, he is under that intense pressure that comes through from Resets, and there's a fear on the other side. Got to go back, reload. Couldn't quite get it on the first knock, and now they're aware. Anaton wants to come down these red stairs. He's got a fresh idea of this body and this pressure coming onto Goat, and he's going to ensure he's not checked and found. He can pull away. And there's the impact. There's a reveal on a body that's already slipped on by. Doesn't quite have it correctly, but that puts more pressure onto Resets. He knows they have an idea of where he is, and that's why he's frequently checking all the angles he needs to, as well as the stairs either side. The flashes come through. They're going to be burnt, but still going to pop off, and that gets absolutely everybody. Nobody can see, nobody can move, and there's a trade out on the opposite side, but Anaton comes out, locking it off inside red. PSK finds some revenge. 40 seconds. A 3 versus 2 now. They still have Palu on the far side, and PSK is trying to build themselves back in, but look at that player. Cyclops is above. They still have vertical control here, and vertical on this site can be absolutely devastating.
A little bit of damage done to A-Gator. Stands up as he feels like he's in danger and loses his life as a result. It's only up to Galarada now. Up in that top floor in a 1-on-2 situation. The case, the diffuser will be recovered, and at that moment in time they will be trying to go and push for a plant. As he's slowly starting to descend right here, it will be 45 seconds left on the clock soon. He gives away his position here, and he gets pre-fired by PSK. Win the round as a result. Liquid with that first one on the board.
First one done. They just had the call where it came through at that point. He didn't quite have the idea of where the case was. It got a little bit lost in the sauce, and that made tracking the players a bit tougher. I think there was a conversation of if you can get down to red and you can get down to this part, then you can probably solidify a hold here. But, well, it's that knowledge. It's that idea of we couldn't quite get it together. A good take, a good read from Liquid by the end of it. It got a bit scrappy in the middle, but these positionings, they punished Cyclops' holes, and I guess their sort of eagerness to say, this is our site, come on in. Liquid went, okay.
All right, well, Will, thanks for the invite. Here at the invitation, we'll be taking you up on that.
Do you think they get like an actual invite for the Invitational, like a letter by an owl?
By an owl? I don't know if an owl comes in. Maybe a pigeon in some countries.
What's the official bird of Canada?
I have no clue.
We'll need to find out.
Parker!
Or Jesse.
Or Jesse. If any of you is listening, what's your official bird?
And does that deliver the invitational letters for invitation?
Yeah. Do they immigrate to Asia Pacific region and Europe?
They fly a long flight for that bird.
Yeah, we need to know if they're even able to do so. Otherwise, some invitations might have gone lost. You know, G2s, for example.
Production just checked for us.
Okay.
According to Wikipedia, it's a grey jay.
A grey jay, all right.
Grey jay. Thank you
Do they
so much.
fly to Berlin by any chance, just so we know whether or not G2's invitation got lost?
The flight is currently Cyclops's. They head back towards Reading. They're going back towards the middle floor here where they started. Kitchen, to be fair, has been a bit hit and miss, so let's see if they can try and solidify their hold and their half and a 4-2 here. If Liquid can prove the tack timeout and single round buffer is one that can start to rebuffer the approach of Cyclops. There's still some caution played to those hatches, but everybody has that caution anyway. There's no more double C4 tricks and trick outs that tried. This Nesk is going to see if they can go up and help with the clear on the top floor, where last time this was quite a staunch firefight.
Definitely was. A bit of manpower here and there as well, so drones are being sent in now. It doesn't seem to be that there is too much pressure coming down from the piano itself. Of course, there is some players upstairs, one in Planks, one in the bar cocktail, and there's some lines of sight that will be held as well, as you can currently see on a reinforced wall. It's a mirror window that will be making it just ever so easier to make sure that piano is at least cut down into 2. That forces Paulo to actually go through the wide hallway instead if he wants to do anything, because there's no way he will be challenging Anaton from here on.
Anaton has a lot in his pockets. He's obviously got the ADS he can rotate to, and if he needs to get out of there in an emergency, there will be the hatch. But you can prep for emergencies as the attackers. You can make sure that you have some of that as a backline. The difference here to the last hold is those mirrors. As I talked about, that close corner is where a lot of those last-ditch plants go down, and last time they'd sort of handed over some of the white. They hadn't had it as solid, and that white stairs, when you have those angles, becomes very necessary as a point to sort of keep it your point. Gatarada's underneath. You assume they'll have some awareness about that this time.
Just tried to throw a grenade through, and unfortunately he was long gone, so wasn't picked up as a result, but it definitely knew someone was down there, and as they start opening up the breach right now, it's going to be in a mirror window that will be coming in clutch here, because it seems like indeed they want to take control. However, the mirror window gets opened up by Cyclops, actually, as Anaton is the first to fall. Nesk, holding from below, will be able to pick up that very first kill.
I'm wondering if that mirror window, where it was opened from, I don't know if anyone was on white window at that point. It looks like there's obviously the Nesk rotation that came through, but he's not going to be able to catch it from the angle he had below. Gatarada, talking of, is still there in 20 seconds. That becomes such a worrying statistic. That's why he's on the upside down rappel, potentially to see if he can catch anything that comes through. Ask. He's going for the connection. He's going for the plant, just in the close corner. But Nesk and Palu have something else to say about it. They don't have the angle. Too long, too late, too far gone. Ask goes down, but not before being able to get the diffuser down, and Ayagator has the lock in a 2 versus 4. There's a reveal on the stairs. They're right behind you. You got to hop up, but in the meantime, you've lost both players. Liquid. They've said that team talk is everything they've needed and proven it with 2 rounds in a row. Can they even it up before the turn of the half?
A good systematic clear here coming out from Team Liquid. They knew exactly where the players of Cyclops were. Nothing really changed too much, and you saw them adapt to it. They held the angles, they cleared it out systematically, making sure that they weren't taking too many risks, and well, I see it right there. It was a 4-on-1 in the end there that got locked off. Not quite a flawless, but a round win, and that's all that matters in the end. As we're headed towards the 6th round right now of Cyclops' defense, they have an opportunity to go into that second half with the lead, because they started off so strong. That 3-0 lead is quickly starting to evaporate here. Team Liquid just a single round away from, well, making it back even.
Attackers need to locate and defeat.
I think that's it. That energy, that fun from Cyclops. I think after Team Liquid had that team talk and that timer, they realized we need to hit this pace, because it was sort of a bit of shock and awe. Cyclops hit the ground running. They made sure they put pressure onto that late game, but it's not that they forced little mistakes from Liquid, but Liquid weren't quite playing to the level of a team that had sort of entirely woken into this series. It's a long series, but if you don't try and meet that maker, then you're going to get made. And Now that's the sort of the problem that Cyclops are finding here. Those little games, those little holes that they're otherwise able to exploit. Oh, that is cheeky.
Oh, that is a very good spawn indeed. Right into the trash bags.
You're going to see that one in a lot of games,
see
isn't you?
that one in a lot of ranks. So do not use that door anymore if there's a captain on the board. It's unsafe. That is guaranteed going to be landing a kill if someone wants to go through that door.
Obviously, there's still the line there, but still.
It's a, you know, there is a small little area where you can actually see it, but if you're droning it out quickly, you're not paying attention to that small of a detail.
Always check your bins for Capcan traps.
Check the trash bags.
Gatorado, where are you going? Gator goes out as well. They smash the window. Can he get back in? He does. No way. Gatorado throws himself from the top rope, sort of says, hi PSK, bye PSK. We just saw a Liquid player pop off the roof at exactly the same time. If they were still there, they might have at least been able to pick up the trade, but oh, that is just a bit of a blow early on, isn't it?
It wasn't a single jump out as well, it was a double one, so even if the first one would have been picked up, the second one was there to at least finish that job. And this is Cyclops saying, oh, you've brought a Nomad. That's fine, we'll just take you out before you can place any of these air jabs, because we like to jump out of these windows, and we'll demonstrate it to you right now, PSK, as they pick up that very first kill of the round. Another entry going the way of Cyclops as they're looking to find their 4th round here. Also, of course, looking to pick up points overall in their group stage. They do not want to go home straight away. They said they were better than their Korean counterparts. They still have to show it. And playoffs would be the perfect way to do that. Blackray playing around the pillars right here. Spots out a player just ever so slightly, but it's going to be the alibi. Prisma instead that gives Ask's position away. He lives, barely, however. 10 HP left on his counter. Now Blackray in his secondary position right here in reading as Ask yet again goes for a plant. Low on HP, however.
Anderson's able to find us. Blackray opens the door back in and takes care of the flank watch. Now, with the Cold Diffuser inside mining and pillar control entirely away from them, this becomes so dangerous. Pillars is the big part. Whoa! Blink and you missed it. Blackray just wiped the resets off the board and leaves Parlu, probably with a stunned silence. Hey man, where is he? I don't know. And now Parlu has everybody else to try and get through here. The first is down the stairs, and it's an easy cleanup on Muzzy. There's 2! An unbelievable swing round from one of the greatest players to ever touch the game, if not the greatest. But this is still a tricky situation, even for that champion.
Case is under control, verticality out there. Paulo really needs to go for the frags right here, but if you just look at how dispersed the players of Cyclops are, there's going to be no way that he will be picking this one up. And Gator, as soon as he takes out the cam, swings right around the corner, picks up that kill, picks up the round as well. Cyclops going to the second half leading 4-2 over Team Liquid. And Team Liquid already used their tactical timeout really early on, round 3 to 4, you know, after round 3 ended. And that means they won't be able to do it anymore. Cyclops still has that available to them. And of course, I'm not saying they should have taken it now. I'm just saying that if it does get any trickier later on, that piece of, you know, utility that Liquid could have has already been used.
To the top, Team Liquid, and let's see if you can build some safety. Hi, Ossa, you're back, and this was a question that we sort of had because Cyclops, only team to play with Ossa so far. Obviously, she is allowed in this tournament. She was allowed in this, she was allowed in the qualifiers as well, and some other places, but it's the first showing at Invitational, and it's the first showing where we get some true international taste, because you also have to take things into consideration. Invitational is the big cake. It's the celebration at the end of everything, and you test ideas out in generally 2 different places to get here. Scrims, and then your league, your general performance to build to this point. Ossa hasn't been freed for a long time. Very small window. Hasn't seen a lot of continual play, and there is that break around December to now between the last sort of competitive siege you see outside of a couple of qualifiers to this, where you're probably not going to see too much of her because she hasn't had the teething issues of the secondary step, the league play yet.
Now, we did, okay, I know I'm going to say I missed the Benelux, right? But we had the Benelux Cup in between everything and the Six Invitational. And also was also being played there, but actually showed quite an interesting use on Kafe. You can apparently use the shield to get on top of the skyline and get a closer angle, but I'm not quite sure if that's allowed.
That's
the whole point. I'm not quite sure if that's allowed. I'm not sure if
I mean,
I'm
assuming it's the vault animation onto...
Yeah, you vault onto the skylight.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
Well, we'll see whether or not they'll use it. That would answer most of our questions here. But I mean, there is definitely some interesting ways to use Ossa. And what we've seen as well, of course, is that shield trying to bait utility with it by going for that placement animation, but also trying to bait a swing while you're actually on your PDW at that moment.
There she is, setting up on this, a very kind of powerful corner potential.
Loading new magazine.
I'm not entirely sure what that was, Anaton, but he's at least reloaded and is going to slowly creep his way towards the white window that overlooks the bathroom. They want to see if they can pinch some pressure here. They're trying to do this as a bit of a classic take. Sounded like something just got popped open by Gun 6 though, and Gadarada, it was the hatch. He's dropped his way down. He's going to see if he can get underneath in a pretty sneaky way as he's opened up that hatch that was obviously just above train room. There's somebody waiting, the Aruni, just caught in the corner, Palu. It's a heck of a gun in the right hands, and his surely are, but 16 bullets versus an LMG.
You need to hit your shots, otherwise you're going to be struggling to get out of that one alive, because those 100 bullets are just going to be following you as you try and retreat through the soft wall. Now, Paulo, of course, the man that is currently on plus 1,004, the only player in Siege history that is on a plus 1,000 KD, and Xanaton is currently using that shield to try and get some information out. A smoke canisters to be tossed in. However, ADSs are picking them up, and the second one will go through as well. Grenade, however, gets cooked perfectly, and Cyclops yet again get an opening kill.
That was it. They had an idea of a player. They used the smokes over the top to burn it. There's the fight that happened underneath. LMG lost out because, as I said, it's not got many bullets, but in the right hands, well, it works wonders. And here's a pretty much the right hands. Ayagator. He's going to see if he can put some pressure on the far side, but look where the diffuser is, and that's a worry. If that goes in for the swing and it goes wrong, Anaton's isolated, but it goes so right. Can't quite get the next. He hit the wrong button, and now they've been able to pick the pieces up on the other side. Black Gray is trying to creep his way across in a 3 versus 1, but an isolated diffuser. There is not really much you can do at this point. 15 seconds. Palu for his third.
Unfortunate time to knife, I guess, because otherwise Palu couldn't have fallen. Then it would have been a 2-on-2 situation going down. I don't know what to think about that. It was an LMG, I believe, right? Even on the Zofio. So wasn't that a reload was necessarily needed?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you hit the wrong button.
That's definitely.
I'm not saying it was that. You know, you don't really entirely count
it is, but
bullets in that situation, but it was an LMG. I guess we might get it on the replays here. Yep.
Yeah.
Had 120 bullets left.
Yeah, so, I mean, you could have just continued pressing left mouse button, but maybe it was a panic knife.
I mean, it's the worst sort of moment to have one of those.
It's definitely worse when the observer is watching, which they usually do when it happens.
Easy is always watching.
So is Medics, so Ciano.
Yeah.
Everybody's always watching.
Our 3 wonderful observers.
Definitely so.
Are we just letting that hang for a second? Just the
We're letting it hang. Dramatic effect.
Dramatic effect to
after that knife.
Well, usually when we compliment them, they say something sassy back to us down in our comms, but we'll. Oh, there it is. You guys never hear it, but they're wonderful people and wonderful observers.
I didn't hear it.
And that was a wonderful round. 4-3. Team Liquid, they're not too far behind now. They've been able to take their opening defense here, and you know, a 4-2 defensive half on Kafe isn't the most outlandish thing.
It definitely isn't. I think, however, Cyclops had a good chance of winning that round that we just played. Again, I'm going to be bringing it down to just mispressing that button to go for the knife. Otherwise, that could have been a round win for Cyclops. Either way, 4-3. They are still in that lead, and Team Liquid are trying to fight back now. And this is something we see from a lot of the APAC teams. The Lion comes out, and you shouldn't be surprised if it ever gets banned against a team from the APAC region. They are so efficient with it. It's no longer in that same state that it used to be before, but still quite helpful if you use it right.
I'm not sure if they're entirely prepared there on the backside of White Stairs. What they're quite angling themselves up for, but they're trying to build some of this control. They obviously have the corridor under a bit of a lock and key now, and IGate is sort of eyeing up the potential of that dining window, but without anything, it is beyond risky, and even with a lot of stuff at that moment, it's still quite risky. So
there's no one near though, so they could literally swing in, and just the player in trains is there to stop it.
Player on trains, the rotation.
The rotation that just came through indeed, but
but you also have the E1D as well, so you could try and twin that. Unfortunately, they haven't quite been able to twin that with anything. Nobody's been caught by either of the two presses so far. They went for the early pick to see if somebody was on windows and put some pressure in and swing round. Liquid didn't want to play that game, and they're also sort of sitting a bit pretty right now, and it's down to Cyclops to kind of work out where they want to go, what they want to put the pressure onto.
The issue is 90 seconds have passed and literally no control has been gained yet by Cyclops. Only now a player has entered Piano and is looking to make an impact here as windows are starting to open up as well. PSK is debating whether or not to drop that hatch or to stay put up top near the plank so he could potentially swing in and punish the Cyclops players if they do decide to take that top floor. Will decide to go for the drop eventually, however. And that means with 70 seconds left on that clock, it's finally Cyclops' to take that top floor. It is, but they still need to work downwards. It's not going to be the side. We are in mining and dining. Now with Alligator coming up, that might be the crucial differentiating factor here.
That's it. He's come up. He's just been revealed there by the ping and the stick in the leg. He's going to pull himself further back. There was also some pressure coming above. PSK, he's done so well to waste as much time here, 45 seconds, and they got to start trying to knock some holes in the floor and clear some angles down to the players below. There's one. They just slip on past. They don't quite get caught, and Nesk is able to move himself with Parlu and Nesk down in pillars. As soon as somebody tries to take a drop on this balcony, which probably is going to happen if time goes on much further, they're going to be in a really tricky situation. They can't quite find a way into the floor at all. The first fight's going to be this Lion, very likely. When he swings around the side, there's Alligator. Caught in brown stairs. Anderton finds PSK in the meantime. Whoa, it's suddenly all lit up, but Nesk, stuck in a corner of reading, is able to at least stop 14 seconds. Nesk is rotating his way further around, gets an easy pick up in the diffuser. Cold, the most important moment in kill. He's running off to laundry. He's getting the heck out of there. They're firing and spraying and doing everything they can. They've got to pick it up. They're in the wrong play.
And as we do that right now, it is currently a 4-4 split. So Liquid has closed the gap that Cyclops was able to build up over that first half. And now they try and take the lead instead.
Down to Kitchen. And Kitchen's been a little bit of a troublesome site for most people. It was once upon a time a favorite. It was, for a lot of people, the second choice site. It is a pretty consistent marker, but over the past about 4 months, we've seen most teams gravitate towards the middle floor of Kafe. We've seen a lot of reading room play, especially over mining and dining, as a sort of preferential place. Yeah. Even bars fall in favor, as obviously we've only seen it once out of the showing today so far on both sides. And it used to be a pretty standard traditional. Obviously, we're still going to probably get the rotation of it on the Liquid side, but to have teams have that as a sort of relaxed pickup, I'm curious to see what Liquid wants from the solidity of a pretty OG sort of pairing here on Kitchen.
Attackers recovered the...
It's going to be the first Rotero to pop in. That's 2 ADSs and a shield gone. That is a very good start here for their attack. All Cyclops, all they need to do now is just hunt down the player that's playing inside VIP there and potentially behind the whiskey bar, as well as those two positions will truly open up a lot of space for the rest of Cyclops and their attack. Just a small issue. PSK is playing that with a close shotgun and, of course, 3 gas canisters as well. So able to stall out a lot of time as a second Rotero will also be used. Get rid of the bot wire, not the actual magnets right above the door. So there is going to be 3 pieces of utility that will have to be tossed through before they can effectively grenade.
Gatorada once again is holding the Zulu angle. He got here before and held it for a while, but then lost the eventual firefight versus Parlu. This time there's not other intense presence that's coming to him. Whether they're concerned about players up on top or not, nobody is. All of Liquid have spread themselves around the ground floor for the defense this time. They feel more confident with it inside, with only 1 player actually inside the site. They're bouncing around Freezer on the opposite side to give some swing extension if White is the next bit under pressure, but they're sort of waiting, Liquid. Waiting for some of the pressure to come down from Cyclops' side, who are still top floor, going for a clear, prepping and preparing.
I mean, it's the whole point, right? Cyclops are the ones that need to bring the aggression towards Liquid. If Liquid just stay here for 3 minutes into the round and nothing happens, they will win that round. So Cyclops are the one that need to speed up. And as the E1Ds are popping and the hatch will be opened up, then surely they're starting to, well, structurize themselves around the take they want to go for. And it seems like it will be a Freezer, or at least a Freezer side push. But what they need to do first is get rid of that English shotgun inside of the VIP, obviously.
E1D pops off, and PSK is about to pop one. Can't get the second. And they're dropped off. It's Gatorada, found by the resets, though. Not going to be able to get the reset to that player. And with Anaton off too, Blackgray's the next to find one eye again. It goes huge! Cooks up a bit of a storm there on the front of the kitchen, finds one either side of the bakery, resets. He's now the only player, was the one inside sight, but not for any longer. An important round there. As I said, kitchen, it's not the strongest site for these teams, it's the tertiary. Liquid just need one more to try and hold on to, I guess, see if they can pull this. Cyclops need one more if they want to pull this to map point.
Yeah, Cyclops is definitely coming close here now, looking to be able to redo what they did during the last Six Invitational, back then in the group stages when they were about to be sent home, looking to find another win against Team Liquid. This time, however, not best of ones, but best of three, so even if they take the win here, they will still need to do one more on either Bank or Villa to take the full win.
There was a second of Monty there, swapped out for the Ossa once again. Gonna see if she can be the connection, the missing link. She wasn't quite there for them before. We saw the gadget get deployed and placed, and we saw use of the smokes, but I wouldn't say her specifically being the big part and factor of that. A well-played and placed grenade was really the difference maker. But then we go back to that Zofia, then we go back to the sudden Eastern front charge where they threw themselves in through the windows and tried to get that pinch. As soon as that diffuser was in an isolated position in a player's pockets, it was massively risky.
It was. I still don't know about the Ossa pick. It's an operator that is starting to be brought, mostly by Cyclops, but we are yet to truly see any impact from it. I think that's it. I mean, the shields do get deployed, some utility does get used for it, but it's not like we've seen it make any major impact here. And something what I do like, however, and that is something we might be able to highlight, is if we go to the bar, if we go to that top floor, there is a way where you can go for a plant. You go all the way to the left when you drop the new hatch, you can place a shield there, knife it once, just to make sure you cannot look through, plant right behind it, and you have that little bit of bulletproof cover you can use it for. That is a way I really like to see these Ossa shields being used for. Same goes for Coastline, can do that for service, for example. So this is also an interesting way to play it, just so you can hold off to those white stairs a little bit more safely.
I mean, it's cheeky, especially with the concern of the windows. It gives them a little bit of a better angle onto you, so you got to make sure that Anaton is comfortable to play it. They would have had the deployment, probably. It is quite a noisy device, and Ask is keeping it at arm's length. He doesn't want to go too wide, because as soon as he does and sees that see-through bulletproof, you might have a slightly different idea. Anaton, what you doing on the roof there, mate? Are you going for a bit of a hop-up? I see you got a shield out, or are you just using that for intel? Just intel for now. Throwing the smokes down onto the connectors either side. It sounds like another one just popped too, and now as the pressure starts to bounce around from Suzuki, it seems like they are still eyeing up this eastern front, but this is a lot of utility to be burnt and bursted. Nobody's moved through yet.
I think we're going to be breaching with quite a bunch of players here. We have 3 people up on the rappel, we have 1 on the cover, and as Resets gets a team kill onto Liquid, I don't know how to note this as an opening kill right now, because Team Liquid just take out one of their own. It's Anaton inside, and he will be able to pick up 1 kill, drops the diffuser, however, it's a 4-on-3 situation. Suzuki finds yet 1 more. It's BSK and it's Palu left standing, as it's only up to Palu now in a 4-on-1.
I have no idea what happened on that team kill, but Twitch and you missed it and you miss it. Palu underneath in a 4 versus 1, as you said. They're going to see if they can try and pull something back together, but Suzuki is going to go for the plant in the meantime, and, well, they still have an Ossa shield watching white. They still have that utility. Oh, they also know where you are. Sprays back that time. The LMG rings true, and now they are 2 rounds away from pulling themselves back, even getting to OT on their map. Cyclops are 1 from setting themselves up for a guaranteed point here, and you can see Liquid, they're a bit frustrated with how things are going. Yeah. No more times out, though.
The TK definitely doesn't help there. That is something that unfortunately they will have to deal with. But I have to say, I really like how we instantly saw the push coming in from the side of Cyclops. The team kill comes through, instantly the rappel in came.
Just didn't wait.
1 man down, we don't need to wait anymore. We have that opening kill, and they're probably saying what happened, and I'm sorry, closed comms maybe. That really led them to being able to overwhelm the side in that case.
Like the idea, it's like they're all stacked up. All the Cyclops players, and they're like, we're waiting for the signal. It's like, oh wait, what's the signal? And then they just see
team kill.
The team kill. Okay, that was it. Go, go, go. Like that was a Cyclops plan somehow. No, it was an unfortunate accident that they capitalized upon. But they capitalized upon it in such a Cyclops way of, I'm just gonna swing in. How many times have you seen somebody just decide to take that window above the laundry hatch as their entry point when they've not taken a single player or, more importantly, placed a single player inside the building? He was the first one to be on that floor.
I was going to say as well, went through the Ossa shield, first of all.
Yep.
And then just died with the defuse, but it's fine. We get a kill, and everybody else was starting to enter at the very same time as well. So the trades were just naturally happening in that case, and Cyclops able to put themselves onto a map point here now against Team Liquid. Looking to find their first, looking to pick up a point here against Team Liquid, who is yet to be beaten, just like them on Kia. And if Cyclops manage to do this, then suddenly their chances of potentially making it out of groups start to lighten up just a little bit more.
It is exciting, and it is just their way of playing Siege. And Liquid, once again, as they did a year ago, seem a bit lost. They seem a bit out of sorts. And, you know, if this is a map that they can't quite pull back, it begs some curious questions about what we're going to see, obviously, on Bank Up next, which is still a great Liquid map, but it's where Cyclops, I believe, are statistically, they're either unbeaten or they're close to, with a recent performance on there. And the energy of this map, it's going to be a heck of a sort of time and moment for Liquid to talk it over. There's a reveal.
We have two 417s on the side of Cyclops now. The Lion is using the 417 instead of the 3308, and Aegator as well instead of the FAMAS. That is also something strange. It does a lot of damage though, 70 hit points if you just get one shot off. If you hold long angles, it is definitely worth trying to go for it, especially if you start chipping them down later on. Ask takes a lot of damage from that first grenade here, swaps over to a shotgun, but also realizes it's not perfectly the play here. 1 minute and 35 seconds left on that clock. Cyclops, they need to find an entry somewhere again. They're not gifted a team kill this time around, but they are definitely looking like they could explode at any given time right now.
There was sort of a moment there where he was eyeing up the idea of swinging on. The first grenade pulls through. He expects them to just swing in and enter the same way they've done before. I understand his play there, but this time with Cyclops playing those early two grenades, they sort of aren't able to get the capitalization. Palu and Aegator. I mean, it's a very different gun rather than the LMG to go in. You got to make sure you get that hit clicked perfectly, because Palu, he's rare to miss as well. He's dabbling the swing. There it is, though, locked off. And the opener at the bottom of White Stairs starts to scream up closer and closer towards the top. Arse doesn't have a huge amount of health, and that means it just takes a scrape regardless of how much damage this gun has. Resets is there to try and be a buffer in between, and he's going to see if he can keep the connection on the White Stairs before they get all the way to that mute with the C4 in pocket, and is able to keep it locked in. But there it is, a huge trade and trade on the other side. Gatorada and Nesk. Either way, they started to try and stem the balance, but now it's a 3 versus 2.
Still one man up on the rappel, and we have Black Ray out here holding tight as well from Cigar. 20 seconds left on that clock. They need to find that Maestro, and as the flashbangs are coming in, as Black Ray going aggressively, gets team flashed himself. Resets, picks up the very first kill. Nesk somehow just survives, and PSK gets the very final kill there. Liquid cleans up, and they live for yet another round, pushing it to round number 12 here. Looking to push it to overtime. They do not want to lose this map to Cyclops. At least they're not planning on doing so. And they got quite close, Cyclops did. Just unfortunately not the cover on the staircase at the right time. Otherwise, they could have pushed through.
Now, I'll confirm it when we lock in, but with most of the operators missing, a turning around to conversation. We haven't seen Monty yet. We haven't seen the Man Mountain, a terrifying player in the hands of Ossa, and I'm wondering if it's something that they might bring out now, or if it's just they feel like the pace that they have when they're actively gunning is a different story. Buck to the Flores and the Goyo to the Warden. They're going to hope they go for something with smokes and a bit of a sneaky play, but down to Kitchen is where it's going to have potentially the end, or maybe the start of it.
Now the warning came out quite well in the last round where the flashbangs came through, actually team flashed Black Ray, and he just activated those smart glasses and wasn't really affected by any of it, which of course in the end resulted into him being able to pick up those kills. That was Nesk. I believe that played it that time around. This time it will be Palu, having an SMG 33 in his hands. You need to be quite good with that gun to get kills with it. I personally am a pleb, and I struggle with that gun.
5 seconds left.
However, I have a feeling that Palu might be a completely different beast with it.
I think he's like, I don't always confidently say this, but I think Palu is a better player than you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's.
I don't say it about every player
that's
than
literally what I thought as well. I think Palu's a better player than me.
I think he's better than
or any gun.
Yeah, and in the right hands, in the right ideas, any gun can be made to work. The MPX in Latin America is actually a famous sort of combination as being stronger than in any other region. And here, this is the pressure that's coming around onto that fancy bar in the corner, over the seating and over the top. But they have very quickly, as you said, been able to use the Flores to get rid of all of the holster and the holstered parts of that piece. The shield gone, ADSs and anything else locked in. There is obviously a Wamai disc, but not really in a position to help, so it'll just be down to the smoke canisters.
Rotation made as well with the Rotero just to make sure that they can push right into the freezer if they need to. First smoke canister also being used to try and slow down this push from Cyclops because they are still onto that map point, and as they create that rotation just to have another different angle inside, of course, into this area. It is Anaton that will be pushing first with the shield, with the talent shield, providing a longer angle into the actual site so he can try and challenge that as well.
That's it, he wants Nesk to swing back into him right now. Anaton has some pings and some ideas, but the smoke's going to go over the top, and, well, they have a ward and then they have their own smoke just to sort of stop it off. Black Gray utilizes the cover to get closer, but until that smoke canister pops, there's nothing you can do.
Still have some pressure coming out from the side of Kojak and of course on the upside down repel as well, so they really need to be careful on PSK's side. He cannot step back too far. He might even be pushed from two different angles at this very time as the shotgun swing is close to be coming in right here. The pings are still coming through. The shotgun gets shown. Anaton gets his head blasted off as he tries to swing around with the shotgun. It's the second kill to come in from PSK as well. It's a double entry that will potentially guide him towards an overtime here as he uses his last smoke canister to try and slow them down. 60 seconds. Resets, picks up yet another. It's up to Gator and Caesar C now in a 2-on-5 situation to try and lock this off.
I mean, that wasn't good. Anaton swung the one way to be a bit concerned with the other, decided to try and take a drive, where, as he said, so much else was set up, and that was easy for PSK. The calls were continually coming through. We saw the pings on our side. We saw the barrel of the gun. They knew he was there. They knew he was active and itchy and wanting the fight and baiting and jiggling into it.
Yeah.
It was a misplay. Thought that they could swing around and cover the other side, but either way, you have this impression that you're going to be watched from both angles at that point. You need the Sophia to try and make a bit of an entrance, at least fire a Grismod.
That's what I was going to say. Fire a concussion grenade through that hallway, just at least to make them concussed a little bit. Then you can start to go for a push both at the same time. You had that smoke you could have used to go for the push. Even at that moment in time, it would have probably been better to just push through the smoke canister off Smoke himself, take that small amount of damage, but pick him up when he least expects it, and suddenly you have that opening. Because right now, Cyclops have given away their 2 match points, and it will be Team Liquid that brings it to overtime, and they will be on the attack first. The Cyclops back to the defense they go. See if that works out a little bit better. Of course, they managed to pick up 4 rounds here, and they have 2 more of them during this overtime. So statistically speaking, they are in a good seat.
It's a very important round, Liquid. If you can take your attack here, if you can try and break that mold and build yourself against Cyclops here, because to be fair, the 2 that you took, they weren't the last 2, but they were pretty much as close as you're going to get. You started to warm up into your attacks, and now you have the chance to hit them fresh. And the most important one right now, because if you can lock this in and continue with the performance you had on your early defenses, then this could be you taking this off, and it's worth it. Because A, it's your map, B, it's for the full 3 points, something that both teams, you're always going to desperately need them. Liquid less so, but I'm not sure if you've run the maths or not. Will a 2-0 secure them?
I definitely think it will secure them. I'll check it when we're done with map 1, just to double check, just to be
run the numbers,
completely sure of them. I'll do the quick calculations in my head. Let's go into Mine Palace for it. Either way, it is quick use of the Excaliburs coming through. The hatches have been opened up as well. Liquid wants to go quick on the stop floor. Make sure that they have as much time as they possibly need to get rid of that first floor and the holds all around it. And as there's only 1 player active around the balcony here and 1 player near the white staircase, they might just as well be allowed to completely push through here.
Well, Black Ray and Gator, they sprayed their way across, and they're sort of waiting for this approach right now. But remember how they played this quite aggressively before. Palu He plays it aggressively back. Anaton caught out with the attempt on the run-up. We heard the impact hit, and the Vigil was entirely cooked and smoked there. Whether it was intel or whether it was just preparedness for the games that Cyclops like to play, either way, this is that warming up I talked about. At the beginning, Cyclops were able to get a distance because Liquid weren't quite aware and prepared for the pace of the game that Cyclops wanted to play. Obviously, they have long since matched that and made sure that they can keep sort of demolishing and moving forward. Here, there's still a lot of work left to do. A minute 20 to do it, but with that opening body off the board and with control of some of the roam, they can really start to solidify their angles towards that plant.
Only one player left on that top floor now. We have 3 around this site. No one directly inside of reading, which could be problematic. I'm not quite sure what the current situation is on the verticalities that have been created in the bar. Of course, as Black Ray playing there, will have a bailiff, so he could be creating them at demand. As right now the push seems to be coming down into the trains area. Gadarada loses his life there. Nesk gets taken out, but could use one of those adrenaline surges to pick himself back up as Black Ray tries to trade.
They're actually going to go for the pickup themselves, and it's a big costly moment. Suddenly, Cyclops have been able to swing this back into their favor. Resets. He's looking for something at this point, and, well, it's a Brown Stairs fight. There it is. It must have been on recharge, but Nesk's finally back to his feet, and it's a 2 versus 2. It was a huge play in Gambit to try and get him picked up, and they watched and waited whether they rotated into the right place at the right time to get that player. Either way, it's 20 seconds. They got to see if they can force themselves into the site. It's an even battle in a boat, but it is revealed by a camera that gets that ping. The spray through, the C4 over the top. Doesn't quite get the lock and the drop. They've made their way into reading. Close corners and a little bit of solidity. How are you going to get past this first fight? There it is. He's on the table. He's on the floor. He's round the corner, and, well, it's just one more. They can't quite get it, though. A 1 versus 1 round the Rosies. He's in the washroom. He's right behind where you just were, following your footsteps. You see one, and then he gets Black Ray with a quad kill, one of the A's. Liquid was so close, but Cyclops, they're a little bit closer. 1 round separates them from stealing Liquid's map.
That's what they're looking for right now. They want to make sure that they pick it up right here, and that quad kill is definitely going to be very helpful. As I said, the down came through. Finke can pick herself up, but probably the adrenaline surge was still on cooldown. It took a while before Nesk actually used it there, and well, some kills went off the back of it. It's a 2-on-5 clutch that came through. It is a quad kill from Black Ray, and that puts us at 7-6. Again, a map point here for Cyclops. Can they lock it off this time around? They're headed towards the kitchen. A defense from Team Liquid. That is the site they need to crack yet once more, and they struggled with it in that last round. So let's see if this time around they can do better.
It's so close right now for you. Obviously, with how things went before, Cyclops, you've been at this door and you just need to try and find a way to force your way through it. Please don't do what you did before. And theoretically you won't. Oss is off the board. Maverick is instead the pickup, and I wonder if we're going to see maybe an approach from the bakery side, because some of the heroics that worked there was what drove you into it before, and it's sort of this gambit and the gamble of shaking things up and where you think there might be a weakness, but it's this questions that we often have about those Ossa shields when we saw her yesterday. You get a little bit reliant on them, a little bit complacent with them. You go for plays that you sort of have a little bit more faith in it than you should, regardless of who is wielding Ossa, who's wielding a shield. If you've slayed one, you want to try and sort of live behind it. And this freedom of guns, I think, is when we're getting the better Cyclops right now.
I think so as well, and especially because the talent shield isn't really a shield like Monty or Blitz or Fuse, for example. Your legs stick out from below or from the sides. If you're starting to sidewalk, it's very easy to actually counter there if they're trying to place it down at the wrong angle. And is the RC Retiro again being used, this time first to create a rotation, not yet to get rid of the utility. It seems like exactly what you said. Cyclops is going for a different push. It's not per se going to be a bakery push as of yet, but they're headed towards that top floor. They're headed towards that top-down approach. So we might see them going for, let's say, a red stairs push, for example, together with Code. Try and take the side off the side instead of the bakery or the back.
Black Ray just checking the nobodies, peeking their head up on red, but Liquid have always played pretty heavily down on the ground floor itself. They like to stretch themselves around, sort of have this network of crossfire and cover, and kind of leave the site not empty, but watched from outside. They have this external arc of players all the way around the floor, and it makes getting it a little bit difficult because wherever you go, there's going to be a Liquid player. And that Liquid player is going to tell 4 others, hey, this is what's going on. And suddenly you have no element of secrecy, no element of surprise, and things get a little bit dicey, especially when you add in some explosives.
Did to the lack of a sledge or any other vertical or, soft breaching operator, they have to use these Roteros to create some small openings. Still have Aegator as well, of course, with the opportunity to place down these breaching charges to create some extra space, but for now, not really the priority. Shotgun is opening up even more so. They know a player is inside VIP. It's PSK. He does still have 2 of these ADSs with him, so you're going to have to get rid of those in some manner, and that might be Aegator coming in clutch from the back. If he manages to fire through some projectiles that get caught off, they might be able to get a grenade right at the right moment inside.
This is exactly what we talked about, though. You have to be able to burn that. There is the Wamai that's going to be a bit of a play against this. There's the Flores drone. It can't quite make it. They've got to try and combine this with a push elsewhere, because if you throw yourself into this on a straightforward drive, it's never going to go well. More of a burn, more ADSs. The grenade gets caught. The last ADS was the lock-in. You have to try and back it up, but look, watch there. Taken care of, and now they're going to see if they can bite back. The Zofia puts some pressure, though. Resets. Forced back behind the bar. He's waiting 30 seconds, and finally, Cyclops has been able to get some control, some entrance. Suddenly, they've been able to find a second. Suzuki locks it in, and now they have a route through. The flash is over the top. It's still going to be tricky to get in because of the way it's set up. You assume it's going to pop just behind the bomb chassis, so they have some solidity in cover. The spray's there. Doesn't quite get it, and it's Palu over the backside that locks it in. There it is, from the small prep room all the way to the other corner. Nesk is dropping them. There's a bit of a fight here. Palu's still locking the door. Ask is suddenly able to find one more, and Cyclops is sort of falling apart. A 2 versus 1, and they can't quite get the lock in. We are going all the way.
Going all the way indeed as Palu shuts them out. The rest of the Team Liquid as well, locking all the doors that, were still left to be opened up, and that puts us at round 15 now. Team Liquid at map point as well. Their first moment in map point. Cyclops have yet another opportunity to lock it out, of course, and even if this one goes to all the way to OT, that isn't a risk yet for those full 3 points. It doesn't mean that points are being snooped off now from either side. Now, whoever wins this map is going to be the team that has the opportunity to go for the full 3. Whoever loses it is fighting for 2.
There is some curiosities about, obviously, the idea there, because they could have theoretically got themselves behind the bomb chassis and tried to get a plant in. It was one of the things that I noticed about Liquid's hold there, is the only throwables that they had outside of 2 impacts was 3 smokes. No C4s, nothing to try and stop that plant from a long arc. At that point, Cyclops, okay, it's a tentative bit of control that they have to be able to get it down, but they can attempt it. They can try and stick it. Instead, it was that sort of bold rush. They threw themselves into Kafe and Sink at the same time. Suddenly they're open towards a pre-placed firefight where you've got Nesk on one side, you've got Palu keeping a lockdown, and Ask buried behind the actual kitchen equipment. And it's awkward, it's challenging, because Liquid at that point is already holding these angles. They expect you to run the way you do.
Yeah.
It's easier for them.
Now, we're headed back towards bar, and if we're looking back at when Cyclops played that last in the defense, it came back to a weird gunfight onto the white hallway where Gadarado was able to pick up a kill, then drop back, get another kill through the hatch, and waste a lot of time. That is eventually what won them it, because it took some guns of Liquid away, both physically and as in presence, as in they were trying to hunt him down. But that also means that if it becomes an issue now, if they're not going to be able to get these opening kills, we will see the actual attack that Team Liquid wants to bring to this top floor, which we just haven't been able to see yet.
Now, they did quite quickly get into the top of Red and Cigar, which was castled off before. They sort of cut their way through some of the hold. Palu, he's still concerned about C4s, rightfully so, because it's a very quick way and it's a game a lot of people play. Here, once again, seems like they're just going to see if they can quickly bypass into Cigar, lock off that castle, and just try and get a bout of control. As you said, playing towards that bout is always going to be a big, powerful play. Gadarado this time is actually inside. He's trying to offer something back towards the approach. They're already in at the top of Red, though. They're already putting pressure on Scar. If they go for a swing here, he's in a very dangerous bit of territory. And there it is. Swung round onto the back. As I said, Resets is able to get that open, and that was a very easy pick for a player that wasn't really being subtle about being isolated.
Right now, Palu able to fire some shots off into the kneecaps of Black Ray as well, and instead of falling back, he actually wanted to go a bit more aggressive. Just fire some shots through the soft wall to stop anybody potentially from moving into the piano. But Liquid is not going that aggressive yet. They as well know there is these mirror windows they will have to deal with some way or another. And probably the way to do that is use these Excaliburs. That's exactly what they're doing right now. There's nothing to stop them. No mute jammer, no electronics to make sure that that one stays close. And that now is a massive opening. But they said, haha, you walk right into our trap card. We just have a second mirror window. We'll pop up right behind it. You just created a rotation for us to watch. And they don't notice yet. They didn't put in a drone yet. So they have no clue that this angle is still unsafe to go for.
Gator's keeping a bit of a keen eye, and it's going to start to come down the pressure onto White, and there's Black Ray meeting it with a grenade, unfortunately. And the second is able to pick him up. Palu on that window has been able to devastate Black Ray over 3 different incursions, once with bullets and twice with grenades, finally netting the kill. Gator, what are you doing? Oh, you're finding one, looking for the second, but it's still castled and locked off. You have a moment here, a moment to strike as the pings are still hot all the way around onto the backside, but Ask is aware. That's the wrong gun. That's the right one, but it's not quite good enough. Gator gets the lock in, pulls himself back. Palu pushes his way up White. This could be a huge surprise strike. They don't quite know where he is, but he's just revealed himself in big fashion. The drop comes around on the opposite balcony. PSK has the lock-in, but no diffuser yet. They've got to pick it up and see if they can get the stick. Palu, you've got 2 bodies. Where are they? Well, there's one right behind you that you find, and it's just the last body. There it is. Just has to stay low, stay out of the watch. There he goes. Suzuki is able to guarantee Cyclops at least a point, is able to take Liquid's map away from them. Technically over the lifetime, it's 2-0. Liquid, you've got to even that lifetime record if you want to take 2 points and a win.
They have a first Gator with a massive flank.